Hi, and welcome to a reading of Spicetopia box set, books 1 through 3 by Phoebe Alexander, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Book 1, Sugar and Spice, Spicetopia number 1 by Phoebe Alexander. Sigh. And that's why you're our first choice for going undercover in the park, my father announced, pinning his dark gaze on me. What? No, I'm not going. No, I'm going to Greece next month to study sculpture with Christoph Kostopoulos, I protested, and even I could admit I sounded whiny. Greece? You just went to Tahiti 2 months ago, my oldest brother Carson piped up from across the table. He turned towards our parents. Cy hasn't done anything to support the business since he got out of college, which has been 2 years now. My middle brother Clem was quick to add his 2 cents. It's about time you start pulling your weight around here, Cy. Last time I checked, we're all due to inherit an equal share of sweet enterprises, so it's time for you to step up. My mother laid a soft hand on top of mine, forcing my eyes to snap to hers. They're right, Cy. It's time for you to step up. I know you're the youngest, and we've given you some time to find yourself, or whatever you want to call it, but if you want to be part of the family business, you have to do your fair share. A dramatic sigh huffed out of my mouth, and I resigned myself to whatever this stupid plan was. But I wasn't done arguing my point just yet. I don't think studying art means I'm not pulling my weight. I couldn't help it if they didn't understand all of my nerdy passions. There's a lot more to life than some dumb children's theme park. A smile crept across my face when I figured out how to sell it to them in a more palatable way. After all, maybe my newfound knowledge of sculpture could benefit the park in some way. Carson rolled his eyes so hard, just witnessing it gave me a headache. Is there any chance I can wrap this up quickly and still make it to Greece next month? My eyes darted between my parents, begging for their blessing. Tell you what, my father said, leaning toward me with his hands clasped together, fingers entwined. You infiltrate the employee clique and identify the ringleader who is threatening to organize a strike, and you'll not only get to go to Greece on time, but we will give you a $25,000 bonus. Sound good? Oh, it did sound good. Very good indeed. Greece, here I came. This is where I confess I've never had any manual labor type job, and I've never had to wear a uniform. My parents have owned a kiddie theme park my entire life, and when I came of age, I got some sort of cushy summer job in the park, usually in security. My brothers and I would sit high up in the control center at the top of Candy Cane Castle and monitor all the cameras surveilling different areas of the park. A lot of times that simply meant zooming in on all the MILFs with spectacular cleavage. Nice work if you can get it, eh? That is why, as you might imagine, I was particularly mortified to look at myself in the mirror before heading into the park for my first day undercover. I stood there trying to look as tough and businesslike as possible in my cheesy pink polo shirt with its white collar and the Spicetopia logo on the breast. Even worse, when I arrived for my orientation, I would be assigned a pink and white candy-striped apron to go over the entire disgusting ensemble. I looked like a Ken reject in the Barbie bargain bin at the local toy store. No one could know my true identity either. I couldn't be Cyrus Sweet, son of the billionaire owners of Sweet Enterprises. I had to take on a whole new identity. The bakery manager who would be my boss thought I was just a regular run-of-the-mill seasonal employee. The only people who knew about my undercover boss assignments were the ones in the boardroom when the decision was made. My mother, father, and my older brothers, Carson and Clem. I had to physically walk from the employee parking lot into the park. We had our own golf carts to carry us around the grounds, but of course, I couldn't use them. I rolled my eyes at the absurdity of it all. As I made the trek from my beat-up Dodge truck, my parents wouldn't even let me drive my classic '69 Camaro toward the huge fuchsia purple and teal arch that read Sweetopia in gigantic curlicue letters. I stopped at the gate with my Spicetopia logo cap pulled down low on my face. My parents insisted I disguise my identity, so I grew out my facial hair and found a pair of black plastic-rimmed glasses with clear lenses. They didn't want anyone to have a single inkling that I would be Cy Sweet. But who would ever guess my true identity when I currently look like a hipster douchebag? Hi, I'm Marcus Young, reporting for duty. I chirped in a British accent, giving the Spicetopia employee a mock salute. Where the fuck did that accent come from? I'm not British. Shit. Getting through this without my typical brand of sarcasm was going to be an Olympic caliber feat. The employee, a skinny chap with huge gray-blue eyes, looked down at a clipboard. Gotcha, he said, barely looking up. You're assigned to the Bard's Bakery in the... I know where it is, I retorted, trying not to sound like an asshole, but very much sounding like an asshole. A British one at that. The skinny dude gave me a shrug, and I was on my merry way to Cotton Candy Castle, the spires of which gleamed silver in the morning sun. The bakery was just inside the front entrance of the castle, which was where little girls and their families congregated to see the Red Velvet Queen. There was also a ride inside, one of those boat rides through a tunnel with piped-in music and animatronic characters. This particular ride showed how the Red Velvet Queen and her friend Donut Dragon defeated an evil sorceress to claim the throne of Spicetopia. Hashtag girl power and all that. I began to head straight to the bakery when I remembered that my oldest brother, who was in charge of casting for the park's costumed characters, had hired a new Red Velvet Queen 6 months or so ago. The one we'd had for years had, frankly, aged out of the role. Once the makeup could no longer conceal her wrinkles, she was asked to retire. Tough luck, right? Anyway, I had an insatiable curiosity about what the new queen looked like, because both Carson and Clem agreed she was hot, and they had notoriously different tastes. It was early, and I didn't know if the queen would be out of makeup and ruling cotton candy from her throne, but I figured it wouldn't hurt to steal a glance to see if my brother's stories could be corroborated. If she was a dog, I thoroughly planned to give them hell about it. My oldest brother was married, so I was sure his wife would love to hear Carson's thoughts on the matter as well. I tiptoed down the hallway, realizing if any of the other employees caught me back there, I would be in big trouble. I didn't want to make a bad impression on my first day, but curiosity killed the cat and all that. I slowly pushed open the heavy doors and sealed off the Queen's throne room and scanned the long, elegantly appointed chamber for... My eyes landed right on the gold throne. There, regally perched in the center of all the plush crimson cushion, was the most beautiful, elegant, royal creature I had ever seen in my life. She had glossy black hair falling in big, sumptuous curls around her ivory shoulders, lush, creamy, décolletage spilling out of the top of her red velvet corseted dress, and the most exquisite red lips I've ever seen. Her nose, cheekbones, and graceful neck were sculpted by a master artist, and most entrancing of all were the glittering gemstones looking at me from behind thick, dark lashes. Her perfectly groomed eyebrows shot up as soon as she saw me. "Oh, sorry, wrong room," I called out in that blasted British accent, and went flying back through the doors as though I had just seen a ghost. Okay, maybe not a ghost, but she definitely had to be a mythical creature of some sort. I had never been startled or even slightly taken aback by a woman's beauty before, but there was a first time for everything, and I was simply in awe. Maybe it was just the costume, but I've never seen anyone or anything quite like her. Clem and Carson both claimed she was hot, but they failed to mention that she was truly a goddess. Despite my lowly undercover stature in a seasonal bakery cashier, I would have to find a way to make her acquaintance, and the sooner, the better. No, screw waiting. I'm not waiting around. I'm not a waiting around kind of guy. I'll go and talk to her right the fuck now. If I learned one thing since becoming an adult and traveling around the world, it was, there's no time like the present.